I love me some Brandon Marshall. I truly do, and I saw him at the Super Bowl, and I wish I'd had more time to talk to him, but he was doing an interview on the phone, and so we sort of just half hugged. But in this case, Brandon Marshall is so wrong-headed to the point that he is just flat out wrong. And I'm sorry, but I can't help but think that subliminally there's some Brady hate operating here. Obviously on the part of the Jets, who get beaten regularly within the division by Tom Brady. But it's this whole concept I've been talking about all week. Tom Brady just isn't athletic enough to qualify as the greatest football player ever. He's not cool enough to be the greatest football player ever. He did too many Uggs commercials to be the best football player ever. And if you want to hate on his politics or his life or his wife or whatever you want to hate on, I get that. But don't hate the game, because in the end...
They hating the player, Skip?
I'd say.
They hating the player. They player hating on Brady.
I believe they are, because in the end, Tom Brady is the greatest football player ever. If nothing else, by simple virtue of the fact he plays the most dominant position in the game. Tom Brady can routinely have far more impact on any game that he plays in than Brandon Marshall can certainly have, or even Jerry Rice, or let's go to J.J. Watt. Best player in football, a case that you made to me early in our life here on Undisputed back in September. J.J. Watt is 2-3 in the postseason with 2 wins against the Cincinnati Bengals in Houston. He lost to Tom Brady 41-28 in a 2012 divisional round game up in Foxborough. And then a year ago, he lost 30-0 at home to Kansas City. And so now he's lost his last 2 playoff games by allowing a combined 71 points. It's because he can't control the game the way a quarterback can control the game. So let's get this straight. The Houston Texans, without J.J. Watt, he played, 3 games this year?
Played 3 games.
They still wound up number 1 in the NFL in yards allowed without J.J. Watt. Oh, so he's the best player in football because he's the best football player, yet without him, they did pretty great. And in his regular season run for the Houston Texans, he's now 44-39, and that includes a 2-14 season that Tom Brady, in his wildest nightmares, could not envision having in Foxborough. So in the end, Tom Brady 4 times has pulled out 4 Super Bowls with late great drives because he's a quarterback, and he's also the clutchest quarterback in Super Bowl history. And in the end, he's won 5 Super Bowls with a receiving core who has a grand total of 1 Pro Bowl. All his receivers in the 5 Super Bowl victories have a grand total of 1 Pro Bowl. You probably made like 10, right?
I made 8.
8. Well,
I should have made 11, but 8.
You know what? Okay, so you made 11. I'm going to give you 11 because you deserve 11. All of Tom Brady's Super Bowl winning receivers combined, all of them have a grand total, Troy Brown, back in 2001, of 1 Pro Bowl. And that was at a time Troy Brown is like going both ways, playing DB. I don't even know how he made the 1 Pro Bowl, but he did. God bless him. But that's all Tom Brady has had because he's the greatest football player ever. And if you want to say it's just because he's the quarterback, then I will give you that. But he is the best. Brandon Marshall, you've done it again, my friend. You have riled up Tom Brady for next year. He's coming after you, and he will come up to you after the field after they win 40-14, and he'll say, do I still suck? Do I still suck, Brandon? That's what he'll say. Because you know Brady can trash talk a little bit.
I think Brandon Marshall has riled up Skip Bayless a little bit more than he riled up Tom Brady. I do not agree with Brandon Marshall. Now, I agree with Brandon in the sense that we automatically assume, for the very reasons that you said, he plays the hardest position. He plays the most important position. So we automatically assume. Skip, I would say this. A lot of times when we come to football players and we talk about the greatest, we want them to be able to run fast, jump high, and have muscles. Tom Brady has none of the above. He can't run fast, he can't jump high, and he doesn't have muscles.
No, I agree.
But Skip Bayless, and I said this before, and you was like, no, I need to see him win another. I said Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback even if he loses Super Bowl 51. I said, now, if he wins this game, he's going to be the GOAT. And I said, now, when I look at my GOATs, and I've studied this, and I've studied their careers, and I looked at what they have all accomplished, in my book, it was Jim Brown, it was LT, Lawrence Taylor, and it was Jerry Rice. And I'm looking at Tom Brady's body of work. See, when I look at quarterbacks, I don't look at their passing yards and I don't look at touchdowns now because they play in an era where it's very friendly. It's very easy for you to throw for a bunch of yards and have a bunch of touchdowns. So I don't even look at that. So I'm not going to even mention his touchdowns and his passing yardage. I'm going to look at his body of work in the regular season. Tom Brady's been in New England for 17 years. 16 of those he's been a starter. One of those years he got hurt. So in 2008, he played one game. So I'm going to disqualify that season. So I'm going to say 15 years as a starter. He's won 14 division titles. They've gone to 11 AFC championship games. They've advanced to the Super Bowl 7 times. He's won 5 Super Bowls. 4 times he was the Super Bowl MVP. 2 times he was the league MVP. He's been great for 15 years. Okay, Jim Brown. Jim Brown played 9 years. He won 8 rushing titles. He was a 3-time MVP. He won the title. 9 great years. Lawrence Taylor.
And by the way, Jim quit prematurely. He was
did.
over a contract squabble, and he thought he could be a movie star. And it was just, he could have gone another 5 dominant years.
And Art said he made a mistake because he said either be here or else, and Jim chose else.
It's just sad
Yeah.
because he could have added to your legacy. But go ahead.
Okay, Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
Lawrence Taylor was 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's the only man to win Defensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year in his rookie season. He's also one of 2 defensive players to be a league MVP. He and Alan Page. He's a transcendent player, Skip, because he made 2 positions famous. He made the left tackle famous because if you played in the NFC and you did not have one, you couldn't beat them. And he made everybody says, okay, I need to find a Lawrence Taylor. So the Cornelius Bennett's, the Derek Thomases, the Von Millers, the Clay Matthews, the Justin Houston. It's because of this guy. And now we go to Jerry Rice. The astronomical numbers. 14 1,000-yard seasons, 1,500 catches, 22,000 yards, 197 receiving touchdowns, another 7 on the ground, another 8 on the ground, 205 total touchdowns, 2 times Offensive Player of the Year. He's the only receiver to ever be Offensive Player of the Year. Normally that award is afforded to running backs and quarterbacks. He won 3 Super Bowls, Super Bowl MVP. He was great for 14 years. Brady's been great for 15 years. His body of work is enormous. And I don't take this lightly. And this is why I have those guys. And there have been some guys that maybe have been great for smaller sample size. But Skip, when you add it up, when you add up what he's accomplished, and notice I didn't mention his yardage, I didn't mention his touchdowns. But for 15 years, 14 division titles, 7 Super Bowl appearances, 5 wins, 4 MVPs, 2 league MVPs, his body of work, he's been great for 15 years. I don't care who you bring here.
Wow. So you agree he's the best football player ever?
Bring Alan Dershowitz, bring Jerry Spence, F. Lee Bailey. I don't care who you get. If you can show me of the guys that I mentioned and how they're greater than he, just on body of work, and I get it.
Wait, Johnny Cochran?
Johnny's deceased.
I know.
We can't bring him back.
No,
yeah,
but I'm
he was
saying
great.
in Johnny's prime, he might have won this argument.
Hell, as a matter of fact, get Perry Mason.
Perry Mason.
Skip.
I take Johnny over Perry, but that's just me.
15 years and what he's accomplished. He's not done. Everybody else got statues. They haven't even erected his yet. So when it's all said and done, it might be 8, 9 Super Bowl appearances. It might be 6, 7 Super Bowl wins.
It might.
No question.
Okay, so you've given up on the J.J. Watt's the best player in football.
But Skip, first of all, if if Tom Brady is the greatest football player ever, that means in the 97-year history, all the past and everybody that's playing currently.
Okay.
That encompasses all.
Okay. So of the cases you made, the great Jim Brown would be the closest to Tom Brady in dominance, even though he didn't play quarterback. I'm old enough to have seen him play on television. They just couldn't get the man on the ground.
But if you look at Jerry, Skip, look at his number. Jerry didn't play in a passing era, and he had over 22,000 yards.
He did play in a great passing offense.
He did. But just think, Skip, if you couldn't touch the receiver and the quarterback was protected, because back then they hit you in the knee, they hit you in the ankle, they hit you in the head. The only thing you can hit on the quarterback now is his letters. Yeah. That's all you get. And you can't touch the receiver. If he's defenseless, you can't lay him out because back in the day, football was built on intimidation. Ask Jerry what Rodney Harrison did to him when he ran that seam post. Cost Rodney about $80,000. You can't do that anymore.
Yep.
His numbers would be even greater. I'm going Tom Brady for the simple fact he's been great for 15 years and what he's accomplished in those 15 years. And like I said, what has happened, I'm mad at Tom Brady because now every other quarterback is going to get compared to that. Where he ain't do it. I didn't even mention the guy's 25-9 in the playoffs. I didn't even throw that in there, Skip.
It's pretty hard to compete with.
So that's an anomaly, Skip. Listen,
He is an anomaly. I agree.
I feel very, very comfortable in saying this, and I never say never, and I never say all. You're never going to see this again. Enjoy it. It doesn't matter what you think of him. It doesn't matter if you like the Patriots. It doesn't matter if you like Coach Belichick. If the fans are annoying as hell. But Tom Brady is the greatest player that's ever played in the NFL. And you're never going to see what he accomplished. You're never, ever, like Outcast, you're never going to see this again, Skip. Never, ever. So enjoy it. I'm enjoying it.
Forever, ever?
Wait,
Ever.
did we get this on tape? Shannon Sharpe said Brady is the greatest football player ever and for all time.
Yeah.
Like,
Damn it, Skip, why'd you make me say that?
It's over.